Hey, what up, guys? This is Ryan with Brainstorm. So, the whole thing with proportions and then cross multiplying is we've been talking about proportions and how they're useful, right? And setting up two ratios that are set equal to each other. Like, for example, you're talking about making, I don't know, some meal for your friends, and you know that, 4 eggs would make enough pancakes to satisfy 10 people. And then you learned that, well, you can set that equal to another ratio as long as you have eggs on top and people on the bottom, right? And you're talking about the same pancakes, you can figure it out. So then you'll say, well, how many eggs would it take to feed 30 people, right? And so you got good at setting up these proportions. If 4 eggs feeds 10 people, well then how many eggs would feed 30, or vice versa? But this video is not really so much about setting up these proportions. Really the question is, once you have these proportions set up, which is, a ratio set equal to another ratio, how do you solve? And that's what's called cross multiplying, and that's really the focus of this lesson here. So it would look like this, right? Eliminating, once you've set it up with the proper units, right? Eggs and people, eggs on people, eggs on top, people on bottom, eggs on top, people on bottom. Now we'll just drop those and go to the numbers. 4 over 10 equals x over 30, right? And this is where the actual math happens. Forget the units, forget the eggs and people. And this is how you cross multiply. And the reason they call it cross multiplying is basically you're going to form a big cross in your process. You're going to say him times him equals him times him, forming this kind of X. We won't draw that again, just one time so you can see it. But that's the name cross multiplying. Him times him equals him times him. And so then you would just do it. Well, 4 times 30 would be 120 equals him times him would be 10x. One thing that a lot of people mess up when they first learn cross multiplying is they don't cross multiply. They say him times him 120, and then they say over him times him 10x. That is not true. The equals disappeared somehow. This is not correct. This is the wrong way to do it, and for some reason it is pretty common. I see kids that do that a lot. Him times him 120 equals him times him. Right now it's just simple math, right? If I want x alone, I would divide both sides by 10, divide both sides by 10, and I would get x equals 12. Cool thing is, like, just a little trick. If you divide this in the calculator, 120 by 10, you'll get 12. Or if you remember, you can cross out the same number of zeros that are top and bottom. If there's 1 on top, you can cancel him with 1 on the bottom, and then 12 over 1 is 12. And so in that case, it was eggs, right? So 12 eggs. So that's how you do this. So we're going to leave setting up proportions for a while and just work on cross multiplying. I'll give you a bunch of proportions, a bunch of fractions equals of fractions, and your job is going to be to solve for x. And this works for any proportion, right? And what you'll notice is that it doesn't matter where the variable is. Here, the x is in the top left. Over in this one, it's in the bottom left. Over here, it's top right. Over here, it's bottom right. Does not matter. Should not matter. Remember, you're going to form an x. Him times him equals him times him. Well, what's x times 18 or 18 times x? Let's do this one first. That would just be 18x equals, what's 9 times 2? That also is 18. Then to solve for x, you're going to divide both sides by 18. So it looks like x equals 1. Right? Pretty easy, don't lie. All right, look at this one. So you're looking at it and you're like, well, him times him, 3 times 12 is 36 equals him times him, 18 times x is just 18x. Divide both sides by 18, divide both sides by 18, and that should come out to x equals 2. I love cross multiplying. I think this is one of those math things where it's pretty mellow, right? Okay, what about this one? You're like, well, 7 times x, 7x equals, and if you notice, some of them I do my downward one first, then my upward. But this one I did my upward, doesn't matter, just one after the other. It doesn't matter which one you do first. You could do 4 times 21 first equals 7 times x, or you could do 7x first, which I did, equals this one. And this one, it looks like something like 84. Divide both sides by 7, divide by 7, and it looks like you get 12 for that one, I think. Is that like, yeah, it looks right. Okay, same thing here. Him times him, him times him. What's 3 times x? That's 3x equals 5 times 6 is 30. Then, to get x alone, I divide both sides by 3, and then x equals 10. So cross multiplying, once you get a question that's in this, proportion setup, where a fraction equals a fraction, then it's a slam dunk. Cross multiplying is really easy. The only weird thing is if you get a huge number, if it was like 45 times 19 or something. But again, use a calculator or just take your time and do it the long way. But doing cross multiplication problems is pretty straightforward. And just don't forget, the name comes from the cross that is formed. Him times him equals him times him. All right, good luck, you guys.